everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Selena, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 tips that I have for you all if you're going to Nusa Pendia. So that's an island in Indonesia, and obviously if you clicked on this video, you're planning a trip there in the near future and want to know some information. We went there for the first time in June of 2019, and we learned a couple different things. So hopefully these 5 tips help you on your first trip going to this small island. So let's get started with tip number 1, and that is booking your ferry transportation. We actually booked through a local, which is a really great option. They can get you local rates, so you get your so if you do meet a local and you ask them to buy your ferry tickets, then they're able to get a local rate, and then you can just give them a tip for doing that. So that's what we did when we met someone through our Airbnb who was cleaning our Airbnb. We got to talking and he was able to book those for us. They were booked for $14 Canadian round trip, so $7 each way, which was awesome. And that was a really great option if you do run into somebody that you trust that can buy tickets for you. So basically the main question for us was, should we book our tickets in advance or should we book them once we arrive? So obviously we decided to book them once we arrived, and there was 2 main reasons for that. And the first one was weather. And we heard that they can cancel your ferry tickets based on the weather that day. So if you book your ferry ticket way in advance and then it ends up being a bad weather day and they have to cancel the ferry, they will move it a couple days out, and that could kind of screw up your travel plans. So if you do book once you're there, you can check the weather already, and then you can prep for which specific day or morning or afternoon ferry or something like that, so you don't have to change your accommodations if you do end up having to stay on the island or on the mainland a little bit longer because of weather. So that was the first reason. And then the second reason was the price. We were looking online, and the prices were actually a lot more expensive than what we heard people were paying for ferries. So we didn't want to book at that price, and we waited till we got there, which was the best idea that we could have done, because it was charging $50 round trip when we only ended up paying $14 round trip. So that was great for us. So those were the 2 reasons why we booked our ferry tickets once we arrived in Bali. And so that leads us to tip number 2. For this specific island, Nusa Pendia, definitely make sure you bring enough cash for the entire stay on this specific island. So if you're going to do island hopping or you're only going to this island for a couple days, make sure you get your cash before you get on the island, either through ATMs on the mainland, or obviously bringing it from home and getting it exchanged before you leave. The main reason for this was, and we learned the hard way, because Nusa Pendia was actually our last island that we were visiting before we were going to fly home. So we were running low on cash since it was our last week. And so we decided, okay, don't worry, we'll just, once we get to Nusa Pendia, we'll take out cash. So once we got there, we went to the ATM and it kept saying bad connection error, and it would not let us take cash out. So we were unsure if this was something to do with our bank or something to do with their machine. So we visited multiple ATMs on the island, and the same thing would come up. So, and we actually ended up calling our bank and saying that it wasn't, and they said it was nothing to do with them. It's not going through. So we were kind of panicking because we had only enough money for dinner and then breakfast the next day. So we went to the main bank in Nusa Pendia, and the lady that was working there told us that this is actually a common problem they have on the island, since the island is very underdeveloped still. Depending on where you're banking, who you're banking with, the connection is very weak. And we are from Canada, and our bank is Canadian, so we were thinking maybe that was why. And we were talking to other tourists at the ATM, and they were fine getting out cash for them. So it just depends on where you're banking with. So then we were asking her, okay, what do? We have no money left. We need to get money either today or tomorrow. And she said that the only thing that she could think of is to Western Union transfer yourself some cash. We've never used Western Union before, and we didn't really know how it worked off the bat. So we told her, we'll think about it and we'll come back in the morning. So we went to dinner, and we went to a restaurant that actually accepted credit card. So we were able to pay them with that. And we were talking to the owner of the restaurant, and he was saying how that is a common problem here just because they're still developing the island. And then he suggested that he just tack on some extra money onto our bill, and then he would give us our change in cash, which was the most amazing thing that could have happened because we were able to get our cash out every time doing that. And he actually saved us from having to do a Western Union transfer or anything else like that. We were just able to add on money to our bill, pay with our credit card, and then he gave us change in cash. So that is just a major tip. Make sure you have all your cash before you get to this island, just in case you bank with a bank that has a harder connection to this island. So that was tip number 2. Moving on to tip number 3, which was transportation. And that is renting a scooter. So our biggest tip is rent a scooter if you can. We think that was the best mode of transportation for this specific island. We were able to get everywhere. We rented one right from the dock, and we were only backpacking, so we were able just to throw our backpacks on and jump on the scooter and then head to our Airbnb. And we were able to get to every attraction, Kalinking Beach, all the other beaches that we went to, and then all the other waterfalls and other attractions that we were able to get. We were able to go via the scooter. We would obviously just use Google Maps on our phone, and then we were able to get anywhere. We had no trouble. However, if you are a little bit uneasy driving a scooter and you're not comfortable, then this is probably not the island to try it for the first time. Because of the underdevelopment of the island, the roads are not all paved, which makes it really hard. You have to have a really good coordination and steady hands when you're driving a scooter. And the last thing you want to do is get in an accident. We did meet a couple tourists who actually fell off their bikes because of the uneven pavement. Obviously, we were okay, but my husband's really good is a really good driver, and he was really comfortable. So we were able, I was trusting that it would be okay. However, the other mode of transportation, which would be hiring a driver for the day or for the week, that is a really great option as well. It's not too expensive, and they will just be your driver for the whole day. You just tell them where and when you're going somewhere, and then they would just pick you up, and then they have a flat fee for the day or for the week if you're staying for a longer period of time. So that would be tip number 3 for this island. So on to tip number 4, and that would be places to eat. So the biggest tip is talk to people. It's good to talk to other tourists, other locals, asking them where to eat, what's good, popular places. This is, again, underdeveloped island, so there's not a lot of restaurants that are on Google Reviews or TripAdvisor. You just have to read other people's blogs just to see which restaurants that you wanted to try. Again, because of the underdevelopment, there are not a lot of big flashy signs to say this is a restaurant or this is a great lunch place. A lot of the places actually don't even look like restaurants until you go inside. So there was a lot of restaurants that we saw, and we didn't even know it was a restaurant until someone told us about it, and then we went inside and realized how good it was. So again, that was tip number 4, which is how to find places to eat. And then my 5th tip for Nusa Pendia is where to stay, which is staying central within 10 to 15 minutes of the boat dock. So some people main reason to go to Nusa Pendia is to see the iconic Kelingking Beach or some of the waterfalls or something like that. So they try to book an Airbnb or a hotel that is near that attraction. But my suggestion is to actually just book an Airbnb central near the restaurants, shops, night markets, and boat dock, because then you could easily go and grab something to eat, go back to your hotel, and go to any restaurant, or go to the grocery store, or go to the ATM, and you have no problems. There's places to get gas if you're renting a scooter, and then you'll have no problems. And then you would just either rent a driver or take your scooter for a day excursion when you're going to the other attractions, because some of them do take up to 1 hour to get to with a scooter, just because of the uneven roads. You're going pretty slow. So this is a small island, but even if it's small, again, the roads are really small, and it would take a long time to get to certain places. So staying central will save you a lot of time just when you're doing your day-to-day things like eating and shopping and stuff like that. So definitely staying central would be our 5th tip. And that is all 5 tips for the island of Nusa Pendia. Again, it's just an up-and-coming island. There's a lot of iconic pictures that are coming out, so it is a very beautiful place. I do highly recommend it. It's a little bit more low-key and more relaxing than some of the other busier places. So it's definitely a place to go, especially before it gets more developed and overpopulated with tourists. There wasn't as many tourists as usual, some of the other places in Indonesia. So those are my 5 tips. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you like this video or if it was helpful to you at all, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I'm going to be posting a couple other videos related to Indonesia and some of our other travel plans as well, and also other things that are going on in my life. And if you have any other questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks. Bye.